Nicki, yeah, I invite you to come speak.
Good morning. I would not feel comfortable beginning my remarks today without a disclaimer. The idea of being a spokesperson for the Jewish religion in any aspect is a rather ludicrous situation to find myself in. After all, you can't find two Jews that agree on anything. Ask any doctor. It is, however, the high holidays, and all the observant Jews are busy being Jewish. So you got stuck with me. And I'm sure that God will forgive my attempt. It's all right?
It's all right.
So you ask me, what does a Jew think about peace? What? Well, I ask you back. I answer a question with a question. What is right about war? Killing, blood, torture, violence, destruction, death, Weigel, who needs it? That being said, the Jewish perspective on peace is, of course, the same perspective as any religion. All religions agree peace is a good thing. War is odious, obscene, and in most cases unnecessary. It's fundamentalist religions, in my opinion, who start adding conditions as to what constitutes proper peace and what doesn't. An important part of understanding any religion is examining prayers, ritual, and custom. Observant Jews are obligated to pray 3 times a day, and the prayer that they are commanded to pray is the Amidah. Amidah means 18. It's 18 prayers. And the last prayer of the Amidah is the one that is called the Sim Shalom. And I have a translation for you in English. And the translation is, grant peace, goodness, blessing, grace, kindness, and compassion upon us and upon all your people, Israel. Bless us, our Father, all of us as one, with the light of your face. For with the light of your face, you gave us Adonai, our God, the Torah of life, and the love of kindness, righteousness, blessing, compassion, life, and peace. And may it be good in your eyes to bless your people Israel at every time and at every hour with your peace. Blessed are you, Lord, who blesses his people with peace. When I sat down to gather my thoughts about peace and Judaism, the first thing that came to my mind was the classic story of David and Goliath. Why? Because it's such an apt metaphor for the situation the Jews have been in since time immemorial. Small group of people, blessed with many gifts and benefits, surrounded by powerful enemies, should have been destroyed, fought bravely, triumphed. This situation has been repeated throughout the history of my people for 5,600 years according to the Jewish calendar. All of the details of who fought who, when, where are immaterial to me personally, as they are simply a case of history repeating itself. One of my favorite Jewish holidays is Hanukkah. Hanukkah, although it occurs circa the same time as the auspicious Christmas, is simply a remembrance of a war fought against the Jews, the destruction of the first temple, and the miracle of a tiny jar of oil that lasted 8 days, long enough to rebuild the temple. How can I personally take such a celebration seriously? That is the reason I have a party with gag gifts every year. As a child in Sunday school, one of my earliest memories was learning the Code of Hammurabi. The ancient laws of the Near East around 1760 BC, which have always been characteristically summarized by the short metaphor, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. These are primitive ways of dealing with conflict, and while I'm sure at the time served the purposes of the people they were created for, people evolve, and so do their laws and moral codes. I credit Jesus for trying to point out to the fundamentalist Jews of his day how wrong it was to try to take an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, but rather to turn the other cheek instead. At the time, this must have seemed like a radical idea. It is certainly the one that he was destroyed for, I'm sure. He was not the original Jewish Prince of Peace, however. In the Jewish tradition, One of the central figures and symbols of peace was Aaron, the brother of Moses. He was a priest and a spokesperson for Moses, as Moses was said to have a speech impediment. The best-known legend about Aaron, the peace lover, stated that when he heard of two people fighting, he would go to one and say, "So-and-so likes you so much and is so unhappy that you are angry with him, but he's afraid to approach you." He would then seek out the other party with the same message. By the time the two offended parties met, they would often fall on each other's neck and embrace. In other rabbinical stories, it is told that Aaron would befriend disreputable people solely for the purpose of influencing them towards goodness. I love the lesson this man imparts. How does one really fight for peace? Are we not asked by Gandhi to be the change we wish to see in the world? Why not try and create peace on an individual basis, first by reflecting our own inner peace to the world, and then encouraging those we love to be peaceful in all their dealings? Remember that quote, "Think globally and act locally"? That's the best any of us can do for each other and for the world. Another Jewish prayer that my mother loves so well is the following well-known one that's recited during the high holidays of Rosh Hashanah, New Year's, and Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, that we may walk the paths of the Most High. And we shall beat our swords into plowshares, and our spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more, and none shall be afraid. For the mouth of the Lord of hosts has spoken. Amen. When one commences any discussion of peace in the Jewish peoples, however, one must remain mindful of the powerful armies and heroes and might and will of the Jewish culture. We are reminded at Passover in the Haggadah, the book we read during the Seder, the Jews were few in number and mighty in spirit, and rose against their enemies and smote them down. It is said over and over during the Passover meal, "In the name of the Almighty, we shall surely cut them down." These are determined people who will not be taken advantage of. As a child, I remember the feeling of pride I had for my people during the Six-Day War in 1967, when the combined armies of Egypt, Syria, and Jordan attacked Israel with the clear purpose expressed by Egypt's president toward toward Israel, the destruction of Israel. I was a scared child, but I don't have any fear anymore. I will now conclude my remarks about peace with my favorite Sabbath prayer that's Friday night for us folk. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim this message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country, that it may always be a stronghold of peace and its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within its borders, health and happiness within its homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship among the inhabitants of all lands, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Blessed is the eternal God, the source of peace. Thank you. Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, that we may walk the paths of the Most High. And we shall beat our swords into plowshares, and our spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any